I'm on the display IMG screen now. Go to the node enterprise structure, expand the node, and go to the node consistency check. And here you see check enterprise structure for the sales and distribution. Execute the node. So far we have done the enterprise structure for the sales and distributions, refers to the configuration of organizational units. Okay. Now here we have to ensure that the sales organizations has been defined and correctly maintained in the system. Okay. Verify the address and the properly maintained for all the sales organization. Confirm that each sales organization is properly assigned to the company code. This ensures the integration between the sales operation and the financial systems. Okay. And also verify the sales area has been assigned by creating the combination of sales organization, distribution channels, and divisions. Okay. And ensure that the distribution channels are properly defined and assigned to the sales organizations. So verify that the divisions is correctly maintained and assigned to the both sales organizations and the distribution channels. Okay, so we have to cross verify all each and every category: sales organization, distribution channel, division, sales offers, sales group, shipping points, and plans. We have to verify all these things. Whatever it has been mentioned here, check whether the master records the conversions exist. Okay, all these highlighted points has to be checked. Now how are we going to check all these things? Execute the node. Right, so here we are going to check each and every category. Now, what is the purpose of doing this activity? If there are any missing assignments, okay, or errors in the configuration, the system will generate the list of the missing definitions and the allocations. Okay, do not proceed with the further configurations or testing until the all errors are resolved. Continuing with a partial setup structure can lead to the inconsistent system behavior and altered the testing results. Only after clearing all the errors you can proceed with your project work to avoid the potential descriptions in the sales and distribution operations. Okay, by doing this activity, this ensures that the enterprise structures in the sales and distribution is properly set up, which is crucial for the operational consistency and seamless sales processing. Now let us go and check whatever you have configured your enterprise structure. Just check whether it is in this list or not. If it is there, just check, go through what exactly the error it is and rectify the error. So let us check the address exists. So the sales organization does not exist, and the company code, which is SUK1, does not exist in the list. Check whether the master record conversions maintained. So my division distribution channel, it is not in the list. If you could see here, now no distribution channels are allocated to the sales organization ALVN. So for this, for an example, this sales organization, the distribution channel has to be allocated. That is what we have to do here. Check whether the sales area are been created. So we have already created the sales area and our items are not on the list. Check whether the plants are assigned. So our plant is SK01, so the plant is also is not in the list. So we are good to go with here. Scroll down. Check whether the text exists in the logon language. So it is fine, no errors. Distribution channels. Check the results. Check whether the master record conversion exists. So our distribution channels, it is not in the list, which means we don't have any errors. Check whether the sales area is created. So our sales area has already been created. So there is no error found. This is the divisions. D1 and D2 is not allocated to the sales organization. So our division is not D1 and D2. So we are good to go. No errors found. Sales office. No errors. Sales group. The shipping point are shipping points. All the shipping points has been assigned, and check whether our plant is existing in the list or not. Our plant is SK01, SK02. It is not in the list, which means we are good to go. Our storage location is already been as defined. So that's it. So everything seems to be fine. So we are good to go. So this is how we will check these configurations. So if you are missing any of those configurations, please correct the respective configurations and move further. That's it. I'll proceed to the next activity.
In this section, I will demonstrate to you the configurations related to the fiscal year variant, posting period variant, and open or close period for material master records. Before I do that, here is the business scenario. The company wants to configure its fiscal year variant from January to December for both UK and US companies. The company wants for special periods for posting as a part of year-ending closing. The business users want the current period should be open only for the transactional postings, while the last period should be closed. The SAP S/4HANA sourcing and procurement users want to know how they can open or close periods for material master records. I will demonstrate this business scenario by configuring SAP system. But let me tell you one more point here, that the configurations of fiscal year periods and open or close transactional periods are the job of SAP S/4HANA Finance Consultant. But because we need this configuration in place in order to work in SAP S/4HANA sourcing and procurement, so I will configure this at my end. And while you will be practicing on SAP system, so you have to do that. But in the real life business environment, this will be done by the finance consultant or finance business users or super users. And then you just have to work on open or close periods for material master records. Variant principle. Before I go into the SAP and create fiscal year, let me define you variant principle. What is variant principle? Variant principle is three-step method used in SAP to assign particular properties to one or more objects. So the first step is define the variant. The second is determine values for the variant. And the third step is to assign the variant to the objects. For an example, in our case, the fiscal year variant. So how many types of variants exist in SAP? Fiscal year variant, posting period variant, chart of accounts, field status variant, screen variant. All of them are created by following three-step method of variant principle. What are the advantages of using variants? It is the easier to maintain the properties which are common among several business objects. Fiscal year variant. So as I mentioned that it is created on the basis of variant principle and it is identified by two-digit alphanumeric key. Its transaction code is OB29 and here it's menu path. So go to the transaction code OB29 or you can follow the menu path. To go into the menu, but I will use the transaction code for the implementation guide screen, that is SPRO. So go to the reference IMG, go under the Not Financial Accounting Global Settings, and then go to Ledger, and you will have an option Fiscal Year and Posting Periods. Expand this node and execute the Maintain Fiscal Year variant. Execute this, and you will be landed on this screen. SAP has already provided the standard templates for fiscal year variant. So the fiscal year variant contains the definition of posting periods and you can see the number of posting periods. And it is also contains the definition of special periods. So a maximum of 12 posting periods, and for special periods, make up for fiscal year. What is special periods? Special periods are used for posting for year-ending closing. A special posting is a posting period which is used to divide the last regular posting period for closing operations. So last year closing period is period 12 when you must close a period. For an example, if a physical year is from January to December, so in December you have to execute the closing operations. So in every company, the business users always to do the closing operations and then start the next fiscal year. Also, they transfer the profit and loss balances to the next fiscal year. So they are the other closing operations which I will demonstrate in this training, and you will see that can be the closing operations. So at the moment, the special periods are used for postings for year-ending closing, and special posting periods are open in the last closing period, that is period 12. Next is fiscal year variant. Fiscal year can be identified as independent and year specific. What is year independent? Number and start and dates for the periods are the same for every year. Year independent can be defined as a calendar year. SAP has already provided a template for a calendar year that is K0, K1, K2, K3, K4, and also a non-calendar year. Non-calendar year use +1, -1 indicators to represent the period of year. As our business scenario is that the company wants to configure its physical year periods from January to December for both UK and US company codes. So I will follow the calendar year. As I mentioned that SAP also already provided these standard templates that is K0, K1, K2, K3, K4. So these are the standard templates. And if you want to find out that how the configurations can be done for calendar year, so you can see these standard templates. For example, K4, that is the example of calendar year. So you just have to take this calendar year checkbox and then define the number of posting periods that is 12 and number of special periods that is 4. So in order to create a calendar year, I can either use the copy option or create it as a new entry. So let's create it as a new entry. So click New Entries button, and here you have to choose the 2-digit alphanumeric key for your fiscal year variant. SAP recommends that for any custom object, you should either choose the alphabet Y or Z. So in order to follow the SAP recommendation, I will create my fiscal year variant starts with Z. And as our company name is USA Tools Manufacturing, so I will put S and then I will give the description calendar year. And you can also put your company name in front if you want to, so that you can identify it. Check this box and enter the number of posting period 12 and the number of special period that is 4. Click Save and you will have this dialog box open for customizing request. So create a new request and you can enter the fiscal year variant and click Save. Continue. And that is how you can create your calendar year fiscal year variant. Now the next step is to assign the company code to the fiscal year variant. Go back and then go back. Now we are here to assign the company code to the fiscal year created. Go to the option Assign Company Code to the fiscal year variant, execute it, and you will be landed on the screen. Go to the position and type your company code SUK1, so that you will notice that for SUK1, K4 as a fiscal year variant is already assigned. K4 is a standard fiscal year variant which SAP has provided as a template, and it is copied from the company code GB01, which we have copied to create our company code SUK1. So simply, you must replace this fiscal year variant with a variant which you have created. So I will use ZS as our fiscal year variant with UK company code and the US company code here. I would like to mention one more point that all the company codes use the same fiscal year variant in the live business environment. If a fiscal variant is different, then it means that the company also belongs to a separate business line operations and it is not integrated with other companies or the part of other companies. So, in order to have an integrated controlling module and asset accounting module in SAP S/4HANA system, organizations needs to have the same fiscal year variance across all the company codes. You can save your assignment now. You can create a new request and that is assign the company codes to fiscal year variant SUK1. Save and then click enter. And that's how you can assign the company codes to a fiscal year variant. So we have done the following business scenario by creating the fiscal year variant, that is calendar year, and then we also assign 4 special periods to that. Now the next business scenario is that the business users want the current period should be open only for the transactional postings, while the last period should be closed. So this business scenario can be achieved by creating a posting period variant in the recipe system that I will demonstrate you next. We can do it by creating the posting period variant. It is denoted by a 4-digit alphanumeric key and its table is 10T0100O, which can be viewed through the transaction code SE16M. Its transaction codes are: to define the variant, the transaction code is OBBO. To define open and closing period variant, the transaction code is OB52. And then you have to assign the company code, or if you have several company codes, to the posting period variant to the transaction code OBBP. And here it's menu path, which I will follow into the SAP system. Go to the transaction code SPRO, SAP reference IMG, go to financial accounting node, and then go to financial accounting global settings, and then ledgers and fiscal year posting periods. Go to the posting periods node. As I mentioned you earlier that the posting period variant is a kind of variant which follow 3 steps method. So it's defined a variant and then assign variant and then define the properties to the variant. So first define variants for the open posting periods. Execute this node and you will be landed on this screen. The first variant, it has been provided by the SAP as a standard template, but you will create your own posting period variant by clicking on this button new entries. Let's say our company is Tools ABC. I will put the name as ZSBC. As I mentioned you earlier, the SAP recommends to start or to create any element by alphabet Y or Z as it upgrades your system, or if you transport your customization from one client to another, so you can easily identify the custom objects starting with Y or Z alphabets. So I will start with Z S B 1 and this will be posting period variant. Posting period variant SUK1. I will enter the UK company code and then save. And you will have the customizing request pop up. Click new entries and then type posting period variant SUK1 and click continue. And the data was saved. Now that is how you can define the variant for open posting periods. Go back. Now you must assign this variant to your company code. Execute this. Go to the position and your company code is SUK1. Click on continue and here you are. You will notice that already a variant 0001 has been assigned to your company code. If you remember, we copied GB01, which is standard template of a company code. So from there, the variant posting period, variant 001 has been copied and then assigned to your company code. We will replace it with our posting period variant, that is ZSB1. Hit enter. As I mentioned to you that one posting period can be assigned to several company code. So if you want to assign it to the US company, you can do that. Save it and click create a new request, and that is assign posting period variant to company codes. Save it and then enter. That's how you can assign the company codes to your posting period. Go back, and now you have to define the open and close posting periods. Execute this, and here you have to enter your posting period variant, which you have already defined in the last steps. So that is ZSB1. Enter. Now you'll be landed on this screen, and here you have two options to define open and close posting periods. Either you can click on new entries or you have copy of function. But at the moment, you can see that the screen is blank and you don't have any option to select anything to copy and create open and close posting periods. So that what we will do, we will go back and then come out of the screen and then execute again. This time I will choose the option maintain all. And in maintain all, you can notice that you have got some examples for open and closed posting periods and how they are defined in SAP system. So 0001 is the standard template provided by the SAP for open and close posting period. Instead of creating new entries, but this time I will copy and then modify these settings according to our company's requirement. Select these lines which says variant 0001. Click copy as. Now you have to replace the variant with your posting period variant, that is ZSB1, and the second line as well, ZSB1. So you can select copy and you can quickly paste it. Do not press enter button here. So once you are finished, press enter. Now you will have the message number of entries copied 6, and then you can hit save button. Now if you want to create a new customizing request, you can do that. The open and closing posting period SUK1, save it and press enter. So as I defined earlier that in order to prevent the posting period into a wrong period, we can close all the posting periods except the current one. So during month-end closing, you can close the current period and open the next one. During year-ending closing, you can open the special periods and make sure that the two period intervals must be open at the same time. So our fiscal year is 2024, so I will change it as well. So the purpose of doing that to close the period is to stop the business users not to create any transactional postings into the previous period and the future period by mistake. If they create a transaction in a previous period or in the next period, then they can make a request to the finance person and he can open the period for them. But this is the screen where you can open the period for the business users as well as to lock the periods. Now, just for your information, you can see the period 3 on your screen. If you're wondering what is period 2 and period 3, so period 3 specifies that the open and closed posting periods for posting from controlling to financial accounting module. So period 3 is related to the controlling module posting to financial accounting. So we don't need to do anything here. Just leave it blank. Finally, there is a column for account types. Posting periods can be handled differently for different account types. As you can see on my screen, account A plus must be open for all the postings that are supposed to be open for all other account types. D represents customers, A represents assets, S represents GL accounts, and M represents materials. V represents contract accounts, and K represents vendor. So if you will lock the period for one of them, for example, for customers, So you will not be able to make any posting for customers. And if you want to close periods for materials, then you will not be able to make any transaction for materials. It's normal business scenario in any organization that they do not want to close periods for any particular account type. For example, they want to open it for GL accounts, but they want to close it for asset customers or vendors in the year and ended closing. So you can control the setting through this posting period screen option. So according to the business scenario, that the current period should be open only for the transactional postings, while the last period should be closed. So we have done this exactly. Once you are done, you can hit save and the data was saved. Now the next business scenario is that the SAP S/4HANA sourcing and procurement users wants to know how they can open or close periods for material master records. So that is what I will demonstrate to you next. Now, as this activity belongs to SAP S/4HANA sourcing and procurement module, so you will be the one who is working in this activity. You must open or close period for material master records. So which transactions are important to do that? First, in order to set the current period for them, we normally use the transaction code OMSY, and here its menu path for display IMG screen. Then the next is to open the previous period in MM, and we use the transaction code MMRV, and we allow posting to previous period. And we can use the following menu that belongs to SAP Easy Access screen, which means that the business user can also use this transaction code to open the previous period in MM. And then if we want to close period for material master record, so you can use the transaction code MMPV. And here its menu path that belongs to our SAP Easy Access screen. Now I will demonstrate you all these transactions codes in SAP screen. So in order to set the current period for MM, we use the menu path to display IMG screen to go to the transaction code SPRO SAP reference IMG and then go to the logistics general node, then go to the material master, basic settings, and then execute maintain company codes for material management. Execute it and then go to the position and look at your company, that is SUK1. So at the moment, you see that the year and the period is current period is blank. So our year is 2024 and our period is 06. Press enter and then you can see that automatically the previous year 2024 while the previous period or the month is 5, that is automatically picked up by the system. There are also the other columns which you can look. For example, last month, previous year, which is 12. If you want to allow posting into the previous period, then you can mark this checkbox. And if you want to disallow back posting generally, then you can mark this checkbox. So the next company code we have is the US company code, that is SUS1. So I will make the same settings for the company code, that is 2024 and the period is 06. Press enter and we can set the current period for the material master. Once you finish, then hit save and then create a new customizing request, that is maintain company codes for material management. Hit save, press enter to continue, and the data was saved. In this lecture, I will give you a demonstration on some configurations related to SAP S/4HANA Finance. Why we need to do that? Because SAP S/4HANA sourcing and procurement is integrated with SAP S/4HANA Finance. So we need general ledger accounts for making postings, and that's what we will configure in this section. Before we see that configuration related to GL accounts or general ledger accounts, I will introduce you the global parameters in SAP S/4HANA system. So we can view the global parameters through the transaction code OBY6. SAP system, if you run the transaction OBY6 and then enter, you can have the screen open. So go to the position and look at your company code, that is SUK1, and then double click on it. Now you will notice that there is an information about the company code global data. So you can see that we created the fiscal year variant and you can see that the information that we assigned the fiscal year variant to our company code SUK1. But we also see that information related to posting period variance. But the most important which we have to work on is chart of accounts. And that's our lecture on this topic, chart of accounts. Now, if you go back and remember that when we have created a company code SUK1 by copying the SAP template GP01, and it's asked us whether you want to copy GL accounts, chart of accounts or not. So we clicked yes, and we can see that the template INT has been copied from the template code, company code GB01. So what is chart of account? You don't need to get into much deep to understand the data linked to SAP S/4HANA Finance because it is not that we are trying to understand in this course. We are working on SAP S/4HANA sourcing and procurement, but you will be practicing on SAP system. You will have to configure these settings first because there is no SAP S/4HANA Finance consultant working with you. So you will be working all alone and you just have to configure these settings first, which actually are related to SAP S/4HANA Finance. So chart of accounts is a part of SAP S/4HANA Finance. So let us get into the topic. What is chart of accounts? So it is the highest level of hierarchy for all digital accounts. As you see, as you see on my screen, that the chart of account contains the information for different ledger accounts. As you can see, we have cash accounts, account receivables, account expenses, account revenue account. So all such types of accounts are created under the chart of accounts, and chart of accounts is the highest level of hierarchy for all the GL accounts. So we don't need to create a chart of accounts because we are copying from the standard template of company code. So that's what we have done already. And INT is a chart of account that is a standard template provided by SAP and it is already assigned to our company code. Now what we have to look at whether all the general ledger accounts also exist under the standard chart of accounts INT or not. So if not, then we have to create them. But if they do, then we can use the standard general ledger accounts. And as a SAP S/4HANA sourcing and procurement consultant, you no need to create these GL accounts which I've already copied. I will go to the SAP system and we will take a look on it. After confirming the chart of account name is INT, now we will go to the transaction code. Before that, I will create a new session, then I will run the transaction code FS00. So this is a transaction code which is mostly used to create the GL accounts. So if I will change the company code as SUK1, I will go to this list button and then I will click on it, select my company code and then press enter. Now you can see that list of general ledger accounts which are copied from the global template GB01 and we no need to create them again. So we just take those GL accounts from the list which we need in our SAP S/4HANA sourcing and procurement training. But if any GL accounts will be missing, then we can create it. But at the moment, we don't need to create GL accounts. As you can see that we got raw material GL accounts, we got operating supplies, packing materials, trading goods. So all these GL accounts already exist and that those accounts will save our time that we no need to create them again. Now, secondly, we have to ensure that the same setting exists for our second company code that belongs to US. I will go back to the transaction code OBY6. Then I will go to the US company code, double click on it. Now you can see that the chart of account is different. It doesn't look good because if you want to use control module like a consolidated controlling module and the accounting module, so SAP recommends that you must have the same fiscal year variant and the chart of account for all the company codes. If any company code will have a different information, then it means it's a separate business line and it cannot be integrated with other company codes and the data cannot be consolidated. So we have to assign the same chart of accounts. So let us try to assign I and T. Press enter to ignore the warning. Now you are receiving this at a reset company code data before changing the chart of accounts. It means that there is an already a data that exists. So, as I mentioned you in the types of projects lecture in the previous section, that basically there are several types of projects, but we are following the rollout project. So in rollout project, what happens that if a company already got all the configurations, and if you have to create a second company code, so we will copy the template from that company code that already had got full configurations. So in that case, we will not have this order, but because we have copied the template that a US-01 in order to create it, so that's the reason the chart of accounts is also has been copied. So in a real world scenario, this is wrong. If you give one configuration as already done, then you have to use the template of the SUK1 as a copy. And then from that, you can create the company code, copy SUS1. Because we have used US-01 company code global template, so that's why the chart of accounts was different. Now, we are trying to assign INT and now it's giving us the error. In order to fix this error, I'll go back and I will run the transaction code OBR2. Press enter and you'll be on the screen. And here I will mark the checkbox with general master data in the company code, and you need to enter the company code SUS1, and this will delete the old general ledger master data. And also I will mark these checkboxes. I know that the data does not exist already, and I'm not marking these checkboxes. But if the issue is not resolved, then I will come back and do this. So let's mark all these checkboxes and then execute it. Okay, so it is giving you the warning. Now this run is an update run and you really want to delete, click S. So this program is a production run. So that's it, what it has done. We will go back to the transaction code OBY6 and run it again. Go to the position and look at your US company code, then double click on it. Now try to assign INT. Ignore the warning by pressing enter, and here we go. So the error has been resolved. Now we can assign the chart of accounts INT successfully. But before we have to finalize it, click save. Ignore the warning once again, and you can create a new customizing request, assign INT chart of accounts to SES1, and then save it. Press enter to continue, and the data was saved. We have successfully assigned an INT. The next configuration that is required to work on SAP S/4HANA sourcing and procurement is to classify a general ledger account for document splitting. Now, what is document splitting? GL accounts needs to be classified for document splitting once those are created. This function is used to get the financial statements correctly for segment reporting. With a real-time document splitting, balance sheets can be created to entities such as segment. The increasing importance of international accounting standards or the International Financial Reporting Standards as accounting principle is also heightening the need for improved quality and modeling of segment reporting. If we want that document splitting recognize how the individual documents it means are to be handled, then you need to classify them by assigning them into the item category. The item category is determined by the GL accounts number. Item categories are included in the standard SAP system. You cannot define any additional item categories. So document splitting is already activated in SAP S/4HANA Business Suite. If not, then you can activate it by following menu path. But now in this activity, we have to classify GL accounts for document splitting. We can either use the transaction code GSP underscore LZ2, or we can also follow this menu. So, but I will run this transaction code on an SAP system so that you can understand how the document split is done and why we do that. So we basically have to split the documents. As I mentioned, for the financial reporting purpose, that which is requirement of international accounting standards or international financial reporting standards. Now I will go to the SAP system. On SAP system, you can run the transaction code GSP underscore LZ2, and I will ask you to enter the chart of accounts and T, and then press enter. Now you will be landed on the screen. Now you can see on my screen that the settings has already been done for the accounts. For an example, from account 1000 to 78,300 in the item category. And now this is the category items category. What I explained to you through the PowerPoint, that is determined by the account number, and these are already included in the SAP standard system, and you cannot define any additional item categories. So if you click this button, that will display the list of all the item categories exist in the SAP system, which you can see on my screen. So according to these item categories, you have to classify your GL accounts here by the numbering. Now we are using the standard SAP chart of accounts. So ideally this classification should be done as a standard into the SAP system. But if not, then you have to manually classify the GL accounts. If you not do that, then you will have the issues when you post goods receipts or when you post logistics invoice in the SAP system. Then it will ask you or it will throw you an error because this step you haven't done it. So you have to do it. You have to classify all the your GL accounts, but you have to understand that the number range changing belongs to which type of the item category. As you can see on my screen, 100,000 to 126,000. All the GL accounts which are created within the number range belong to the item category of balance sheet, and similarly, all the GL accounts in this number range belongs to item category of expense. So you have to do the same item category configurations. As you can see on the screen, I haven't done for taxes because I'm using the balance sheet account option for taxes as well, because taxes are the part of balance sheet and I haven't done fixed assets. So, I mean, like if you are in live business environment, because these business users are quite traditional, so they want their item category should be the one that exactly matches the number range. So I have seen that in the live business environment. All the item categories mentioned here are chosen for all the types of GL account number ranges. So what are the settings which I have done? I haven't used all these item categories, but if you want, you can do that. If this is an SAP S4 HANA Finance training, then I definitely do that. But for working on sourcing and procurement module, you just have to classify the account number with the item categories that are close to represent a particular number range of the GL account. If any GL account you created and that is outside this number range, you will see the error. And what you have to do, you again have to run this transaction code and then comes here and then have to add the number like a new GL account number into this list. And again, if you want to add any other number here by using this option account number 2, then you can also create a new entry and then you can create your own number range and then you can choose a new item category. So that is a setting which you have to do in classified GL accounts for document splitting. Now the next topic is segment. Define segment. Now in the previous section I have mentioned on document splitting. So why do we need document splitting? We need document splitting because of segment reporting. So segments are used for segment reporting, and the increasing importance of IAC or IFRS or accounting principles is also heightening the need of improved quality and the modeling of segment reporting. Segments are assigned into the master record of a profit center.
Now, this is very important because in our upcoming lectures, we have to configure SAP S/4HANA controlling module as well. Because we cannot work SAP S/4HANA sourcing and procurement module without configuring the basic configurations for controlling and profit center is very important because it is assigned to the material master data. So we have to create the profit center and the segments are assigned to the material master record of our profit center. The segment is then derived from the assigned profit center during posting. We will create profit centers and assign associated segments when we maintain control in the area in our upcoming lecture. That's what I mentioned. We can drive accounting principles through the ledger configurations, which we define in the ledger settings in our upcoming lecture. So that's what I have to demonstrate to you as well, and how we can configure the ledger into the SAP S/4HANA Finance. Because again, it is something which we have to do in order to work on SAP S/4HANA sourcing and procurement. So here's the transaction code to define segment, and that's the menu path that I follow on SAP system. On SAP system, go to the transaction code SPRO, then go to SAP reference IMG, go under the node enterprise structure. Now you see this is the part of enterprise structure. So under sub definition, financial accounting, and then execute define segment. Here you will create segments as a new entries. So click on new entries button, and then you have to choose the naming convention according to the business requirements. So in our case, I will suggest you to choose the segment as ZAB1, and the description can be segment underscore 01. Enter. And the second ZAB2 description segment underscore 02. And then the third one ZAB3 segment underscore 03. Similarly, we will create few more segments ZAB4 segment 4, ZAB5 segment 5, ZAB6 segment 06, ZAB7 segment 7. So I have created 7 different segments as you can see on my screen. So once you finish, hit save and then create a new customizing request, and it's going to be a defined segment. So as a segment is created at the client level, so these will be valid for all our company codes. So just choose the customizing request as defined segments and then hit save and then press enter to continue. Your settings will be saved, and that's how we are going to create segments. Now we have to configure the controlling area in order to work on SAP S/4HANA sourcing and procurement module. As controlling module is also linked to SAP S/4HANA sourcing and procurement. So in this lecture, I will configure the controlling area, then profit center, then the cost center, then the cost elements, and we will demonstrate you the creation of master data for profit center, cost center, and cost elements. So before I do that, here it's business scenario that why we need to create controlling area, because the management wants to keep a record of management costs and profits and wants to have the functionality of cost accounting into the SAP system. They wanted the internal cost should be calculated in US dollars, which is global, or the group currency belongs to the parent company, that is the SU S1. So according to the business scenario that I explained in the very beginning, that the head office of the company is based in the US. So the controlling module is only one for across all the company codes. And most of the time, the controlling module works under the parent company, and its currency also belongs to that country where the parent company or its head office is located.
So if you're wondering what happens at the local level. So at the local level, we create a cost center to accumulate the costs into the local currency, while the profit centers are also into the US dollars. Next, the management wants to set up the following cost and profit center groups and their related cost centers and profit centers related to SAP S/4HANA sourcing and procurement, such as inventory. We will create the inventory as a cost center or profit center group, and under that inventory we will create the cost center and the profit center as raw materials, trading materials, finished goods, semi-finished goods, and then under administrative services, rent, and under assets will be the fixtures and fittings. For example, laptops. So we need the profit center and the cost center in order to see how the sourcing and procurement or the material management postings are done into the cost centers and profit centers. So normally we will see the postings into the profit center through the assignment of profit centers into the material masters. But posting into the cost center will only occur when we will post the cost through the sourcing and procurement module into the cost center directly by using the account assignment category. Next, the other examples for cost centers and the profit centers are finance, production, marketing, maintenance, and research and development, which you will normally see in the live business scenario. Now, the first step in the configuring the controlling module is to maintain the controlling area. And what is controlling area? In SAP, the controlling area is an organizational unit which is responsible for management of costs and profits. It is used to subdivide the business organization from a cost according standpoint. There is one to many relationship between controlling area and company code. So many company codes can be assigned to a single controlling area. The assigned company codes must use the same operative chart of accounts and fiscal year variant as we have discussed in our last previous lecture. So we can define cost center standard hierarchy name. If you are maintaining controlling the area through the transaction code OKKP, so there are two different transaction codes which we can maintain controlling area. One is OX06 or OKKP, and the menu path for both transaction codes are different. So my recommendation is to create the controlling area by using the transaction code OKKP because we will have more options in that transaction code to configure. Even if you create the controlling area through OX06, still you have to come back to the transaction code OKKP to do the remaining configurations. So here is the controlling area enterprise structure. So the highest level is always client, then operating console. Operating concern is a part of controlling area which we need for COPA module, and that is the observation for the profitability analysis. And under operating concern, we have controlling area, and under controlling area, we got profit centers. And under profit centers, we have company codes, and under the company codes, we have several cost centers. So profit center can have the several company codes. In the other words, that may profit center can be assigned to many company codes. While a cost center is assigned to only one company code, and a company code can have many cost centers. And one profit center can be assigned to several cost centers, while a cost center can have only one profit center. I'm on the SAP Easy Access screen now. Go to the transaction code SPRO and then go to SAP reference IMG. So as we mentioned that there are two different transaction codes to maintain the controlling area. So first one we can access through enterprise structure, and if we go under definition and then go under the sub node controlling area, and you can see the node to maintain controlling area. And the second option you have is under the controlling node. If you expand this node and then go under the sub node general controlling and then organization, here you have maintain controlling areas. So I will suggest you to use this menu path to maintain controlling area. Execute it. You will be landed on the screen. Now, just like the company codes, you have an option to copy controlling area or to maintain the controlling area as a new entry. I will suggest you to create as a new entry. So double click on maintain controlling area and it will be landed on this screen. So click new entries and controlling area name. If your controlling area is equal to company code, then you can click on this button and all the information will be copied from the company code. As we have got multiple company codes, okay, I will suggest you to enter the data as new. So first choose the controlling area as ZSUS and then choose the name of the controlling area as controlling area tools and you can enter the person responsible and it's an optional field. You can also leave it blank. Assignment control. Now this is very important. So you have two options. Either you can select the controlling area same as company code or cross company code cost accounting. So the second option means that you are selecting the same controlling area across all the company codes. So select this. The next is the currency type. So you click this button. So you have the various currency types options here. Now here you have to choose the group currency as there is a currency difference in between are both UK company code and US company code. That's the reason we are using cross company code cost accounting option. And here we are choosing the currency type as group currency and our currency is US dollars. And you can see that these check marks have been marked. Now we have to enter the chart of accounts and our chart of account is INT and fiscal year variant is ZA. And here we have to create the cost center standard hierarchies. And this is the field where we will choose the name of our cost center standard hierarchy. So we can choose it as Z S U S hyphen CC SH. CCSH is refers to cost center standard hierarchy. Press enter. So it gives you the dialog box that the standard hierarchy does not exist. System should be created a standard hierarchy. So click S and the standard hierarchy and all other information will be set. Once you finish, you can hit save. Click S again and now you have to save this as a customizing request. So this will be a controlling area ZSUS. Save it, press enter to continue. Right? If you have got this dialog box, click enter to continue and the data will be saved. Now double click on active components or control indicators. So here you have to click new entries. Now you have to choose the fiscal year range which is valid for the controlling area. So here we will select it as 2024. And then now we have to activate the components. So first cost center, we will activate this component and activate activity type. But I think we don't need to, but I think we don't need this in SAP S/4HANA sourcing and procurement. So you can also leave it blank. The next is you can select order management and you select commitment management and we don't need any activity based costings. So you can mark this checkbox for projects, sales orders, cost objects, and that's it. Press enter and then hit save. Press enter to continue and then press enter once again and your data will be saved. Now the next step is to assignment of company codes. So click new entries and the first company we will assign is our SUS1. Hit enter, click on save, and the second company SUK1, hit enter and click on save. That's it. Both companies have been assigned because they have got the same chart of accounts and same fiscal year variant. Now hit the button save, and if you have got this dialog box, press enter to continue. And you can see that the data was set. Press enter to continue, and that's it. You can come out of this screen. That's how we maintain our controlling area. Now, if you go back, and the next option is to check maintain number ranges for controlling documents. Execute this option and make sure that the document number ranges exist for your company code ZSUS. It says no interval exists. What you have to do, you have to click this copy button and then you can copy from the company code 0001. That's what the SAP recommends. So your controlling area ZSUS. Click copy, press enter to continue, and you will have this message CO area 0001 to ZSUS. Now click on interval button and you can see the following document number ranges have been copied. Go back, go back again. The next step is to maintain versions. Execute it. You will have this screen open. What exactly is versions? Version in controlling area enable to have the independent set of planning and actual data with different versions. You can represent two different scenarios such as price and wage increases, etc. So in version 0 is the most used version for plan and actual data. So that's what we need in order to work into SAP S/4HANA sourcing and procurement module. And also SAP recommends the version 0. If you want to plan in a single version only and for all or the plan or actual comparisons, it has automatically created this versions. If it is not automatically created, then you can also create by clicking on new entries. Here in this activity, you have to select version 0 and then under controlling area settings, you have a subfolder settings for each fiscal year. So if you double click on it, you have to select your controlling area that is ZSUS and version 0. Press enter to continue and you will be landed on the screen. As you can see on the screen that the version 0 is automatically created for the fiscal year with the creation of controlling area. If the existing all fiscal years are not created, then they can be created by clicking new entries button here. So here you don't have to change any settings and you can see that. Now the version settings for each fiscal year starts from 2024 to 2028. So that's it. Now go back and select the version 0 again. Now double click on settings for profit center accounting and click on new entries here. And here you have to manually enter the year because the years for profit center accounting have not been created automatically. So you will enter 2024 and just click online transfers and line items. 2024 online source line item. And the exchange rate type, you can either select P or M. I will have a lecture on exchange rate type later on. But at this point, just for your understanding that we are normally select the exchange rate type and standard translation at average rate or the standard translation for cost planning. So we will select M here. And the next year is 2025. We will again select the online transfer, line items, and then M. Similarly, we will repeat for the other years as well, 2026, 2027, 2028. Select the online transfers, line items, and M. I have entered 5 years in advance. So you can see on my screen from 2024 to 2028, just like controlling area settings. And once you finish, you can hit save. And you can create a new customizing request and it will be maintain versions in controlling area CSUS. Hit save, press enter to continue, and the data was saved. Here, if you haven't understood anything in controlling area configuration, so I will suggest you not to worry about that much. You just follow the steps which I'm following in this training because we need this configuration in order to work on SAP S/4HANA sourcing and procurement. So you do not need to understand every detail for controlling configurations. Just follow as I'm doing. So go back and then go back again. Go back. You will become out. You will be coming out of the screen. The next activity you can check define ledger for control versions. What is ledger? That's our topic in the upcoming lecture. So at this point, you just make sure that the correct version is assigned to your controlling area and version 0. Press enter to continue. And if you can take a look, if you can take a look, your controlling areas does not exist. So you can click new entries and enter your controlling area version 0 and then I will enter ledger 0L, ledger 0. So very briefly, I will tell you what is ledger. There is a different ledgers in order to make postings in the finance module and the leading ledger is 0L. So I will give you more details on the ledger in the upcoming lecture. Because in this another activity which we have to configure in order to work on SAP S/4HANA sourcing and procurement module. So just assign your controlling area to the leading ledger 0L and then save it. Press enter to continue and create a new customizing request and this will be defined ledger for CO version. Hit save and press enter to continue. The data was saved. Now you go back, well go back again and if you scroll down you have to go to the node under the profit center accounting. So expand this node. We have to configure the basic settings for profit center accounting. So before I do that, I will give you a brief definition what is actually a profit center. Organizational unit in controlling to recognize both revenues and expenses. It reflects a management-oriented structure of the enterprise for the purpose of internal control. Based on profit center results, the management decides how to earn revenue and which expenses to incur. It is only the object from which the segments can be uniformly derived. It is possible to assign the same segment to multiple profit centers. It is an element for which the separate of balance sheet and profits and loss statements can be created. Postings can be made into a profit center across multiple company codes within the same controlling area. It receives statistical cost postings from all the management accounting components. It is integrated with the Universal Journal. So that's the definition of profit center accounting. Now I will go to the SAP and configure the necessary settings for profit center accounting. Execute set controlling area. This is needed because if an organization has got multiple controlling areas to work, then this setting will make sure that you are setting the correct controlling area. So ZSUS, we have only one controlling area, so it has already selected. Press enter to continue, and now expand this node, controlling area settings, and execute maintain controlling area settings. So the first option, you have to enter the standard hierarchy. As you have created the standard hierarchy for cost centers, so here we will create the standard hierarchy for profit centers. So I will choose the name for the profit center, a standard hierarchy, and the profit center local currency. Then the type will be the controlling currency area. So here I will so here we will create the standard hierarchy for profit center. ZSUS-PCSH. I will choose the name of the profit center, standard hierarchy, and then the profit center currency, local currency type will be controlling area currency. You can also select the profit center currency. So let us select controlling area currency and then confirm. Remember, controlling area currency is US dollars, and if you do not want to use US dollars for profit center, then you can also select 90 profit center currency and then confirm it. But in case if you have to choose the name of the currency, that can be GBP. So that's how you can use the local currency for your profit centers. So let's select GBP so that you will have a result in the local currency, and that will make more sense. You can select this button, stores transaction currency, and you can choose active indicators in front of 2024. And once you are done, hit save. And the data was saved. Go back. And the next activity you have to do is to create the dummy profit center. Execute this. You will be landed on this screen. And here you have to create the dummy profit center, which is another requirement in configuring the profit center configuration. So I will choose the name of its dummy profit center as dummy PC ZSUS. Click basic data. Okay, name we have captured dummy PC, description as a dummy profit center, and then here you have to enter into the profit center group. Select this, and you only have got one profit center standard hierarchy. That's why it has popped up automatically. And further, you can choose the person responsible name, and we will not assign any segment for dummy profit center, but we will assign the segments in the real profit center. So just to save, it will give you the warning that the segment field is blank, but you can ignore the warning by pressing enter. That's it. Now if you go back to maintain controlling area settings, and now you can see that the dummy profit center has been popped up. Go back, and the next activity, if you expand this node, active directive postings, and execute the set control parameters for actual data, you will be landed on this screen. Now here you have to click new entries, and you have to enter the years again, which we did in our last session: 2024, 2025, 2026, 2027, 2028, and mark the checkboxes for line items and online transfer. Okay, so once you finish, enter and then hit save. And the data was saved. Now go back again. Now the next activity which you have to check in the configuration of Profit Center is the document number ranges for actual postings. Expand is not, and then expand basic settings, and then execute define number ranges for local documents. You will be landed on the screen, and now here you have to make sure that the Profit Center number ranges exist for your company code SUK1. If does not exist, so what we can do, we will click copy and enter the template copy and enter the template company code 00012 SUK1 and then press enter to continue. Press enter once again. You will have this message and then click intervals and enter the company code again. You will see that all the intervals have been copied, and you can do the same for your US company code SUS1. And enter your company code to make sure that the intervals have been copied. So that's the end of controlling area and profit center configurations. Now we have to create the profit center and cost center next.